We're all familiar with Robert's Rules of Order and its contents, but what do we know about the man who started it all? Who is Robert? Henry Martin Robert was born on May 2, 1837, in South Carolina. The son of a Baptist minister, Henry lived a simple childhood before being accepted into West Point Military Academy at the age of 16. After his graduation from West Point in 1857, Robert accepted a teaching position at the military academy until receiving an engineering assignment with the military in 1859. From there, Robert's military career took off. But how did Roberts discover his interest in parliamentary procedure? It began when he was asked to preside over a meeting of his church. Robert quickly realized that he knew very little about how to effectively run a meeting and vowed to never put himself in such a position again. He had to learn parliamentary procedure. Years later, he was again asked to preside over a meeting of his church. At this time, he was living in San Francisco, and the members of his church congregation were from all over the country. Because of their varying backgrounds, the church members brought very different opinions and experiences with parliamentary law, making progress in meetings very difficult. Again, this showed Robert the need for an understanding of parliamentary procedure. He began extensively researching the history and current rules in parliamentary law. In 1869, he published a 15-page pamphlet to share with his friends and church members to help them understand the basics of parliamentary law and be able to run their meetings more efficiently. 4 years later, living in Wisconsin, Robert found himself having a great deal of downtime in the cold winters and began focusing his time on producing a more extensive work on parliamentary law. In February of 1876, Robert's Rules of Order was published and 4,000 copies of the book were printed. Robert believed that these 4,000 copies would last about 4 years before he would need to have more printed, but he was very wrong. After donating the first 1,000 copies to educators, civic leaders, and parliamentarians, the remaining 3,000 copies sold out in a period of just 4 months. Robert decided some changes were needed before more books were printed, so after adding 16 pages of material, Robert's Rules of Order, the second edition, was printed in July of 1876. Over the years, Robert continued his work as an engineer with the military, rising in rank and leading a very successful career. He also continued to work on Robert's Rules, creating new editions and continuing to print and sell more copies. Henry Martin Robert died on May 11, 1923, and is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. His family continues to keep his passion for parliamentary law and stays involved in the revision and printing of new editions of his work. I'm sure Henry would be proud today to know just how important his work has been. As the most widely used parliamentary law in the United States, Robert's Rules of Order has become an important staple to many organizations. So thank you to Henry M. Robert for your passion and hard work.